Coming to you from the picturesque Columbia River in Tri-Cities, Washington. It's not just another race in another place. Hello, everybody. I'm John Mickelson. You really can't start here in Tri-Cities without talking about what happened here a year ago. Dave Villwock, with 19 consecutive heat wins, going for a tie for the record in the final, instead went upside down. Almost lost his life. In fact, lost a couple of his fingers. Everybody here is aware of that, especially in the Budweiser camp. But if Villwock himself is concerned, he'll never let you know.
I've wrecked boats here before, you know, and I wrecked boats before I won the race in '96, and I wrecked boats after I won the race. So, you know, it's just another race, and I'm going to come here and get prepared, and I think the crew's done a great job, and we're ready for race day. So, you know, we're just going to do the best we can. If we end up upside down, so be it. But we'll know we will have tried.
Last week in Norfolk, Villwock and the Budweiser team rolled over a field of just a half a dozen boats. Here in Tri-Cities, there's a lot more competition. Let's go to my partner, Steve Montgomery, with more about that.
As long as there has been a race here on the Columbia River, some 33 years, it has always marked a point in the season where the field got bigger. A lot of teams based in Seattle just didn't have the resources to go back east. They would show up here and compete in the west. Now, one thing has changed. It used to be backyard operations, hobbyists coming out of Seattle for this race, so the field got bigger, but the quality didn't really increase. Big difference here. The Appy and Geronimo team, their new combination in Detroit, little problem with gearboxes. They came back, got it fixed, and you can see how they're running. They're extremely fast. Next door to them, the Elstrom family has their Elam Plus. It's been a white rocket, and they will be with us in the west. Bill Worster and Nate Brown have the Lumar running extremely fast. A good example, Jim Harvey and Steve David in the black boat, second fastest back east. They are fifth here on the qualifying ladder. The field not only bigger, it's faster. We've increased the quality as well as the quantity. Should be a very competitive day.
And here's one of the guys who should make it competitive, Mitch Evans, driver of the Appy and Geronimo, taking a week off after the Gold Cup, now set to go as we're going to get ready for a look at how things went in Heat 1A. With 4 of the top 6 qualifiers in Heat 1A, it shaped up as great competition. The favorite would have to be Appy and Geronimo, which qualified at over 160 miles an hour, just behind the Budweiser. Favored, yes, but Jimmy King and Elam Plus had other ideas. Here's a look at the starting lineups as they headed up toward the start. Appy and Geronimo, the boat to watch along with Miss Elam Plus. Mr. United Furniture has a rookie, Greg Hopp, driving it. He'll be a trailer in this race. And here's how they came to the start line. A good start for Jimmy King and the Elam Plus. Also a strong start here for Mark Evans and Pico American Dream. Appy and Geronimo's in lane 2. Stephen David and the Miss Molson's on the inside, but Pico was out to an early lead. We look for the first time from the O'Doul's Eye in the Sky. Some close racing is what we saw to start off Heat 1A.
Great shot there. You see Steve David in lane 1. He could control this heat, but that team's having gearing problems. They don't have the top end they need to get into that turn with the crowd. And this boat has been the story. Over 160 miles per hour in qualifying, very nearly as fast as the Budweiser.
Greg Hopp, on the other hand, stopping entirely, and out of this race he went in Heat 1A. Appian, after starting a little bit behind, jumped out to a big lead in that first back straightaway. But then in lap 3 of 3, Jimmy King came roaring up on the Appy and Geronimo and right by him.
As the Appy and Geronimo appears to be slowing down, Mitch Evans later told me he had handling problems throughout this heat. He was not able to hold the boat on line.
Jimmy King had told us before that the boat had more speed than it showed in qualifying, so with the combination of Appian's problems and his speed, a big win in Heat 1A for Jimmy King and the Elstrom family in the Elam Plus. Second place wound up going to the Appy and Geronimo. As Jimmy roars it back in for a victory lap, they'll check the results. Miss Molson with Stephen David wound up in 3rd place, and Pico American Dream was 4th. Steve talked with the winner.
That's as good a job as we've seen of driving on the outside for a long, long time.
Well, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, it's wonderful to have a real boat race instead of follow the leader.
Going to be a good day.
We hope so, but it ain't over yet.
Nate Brown was looking for a good day. He's got a fast boat, but he was not necessarily the story in Heat 1B. Let's go to Steve and see what was.
With Dave Villwock and the Miss Budweiser drawn into Heat 1B, the only question was, would anybody be able to mount a challenge to the Red Rocket? Well, how about the doctor, Ken Muscatel? You heard me right, Ken Muscatel.
Still hard to believe, you say. Here is the lineup as it stood for Heat 1B. Ken Muscatel on the Miss Jackson Sports Bar. Jerry Hale driving Bob Fendler's Easter Seals U19. And there is Budweiser closest to you, Muscatel, and then Mike Weber on the inside in the costless carpet. Budweiser had the quick start, but Ken Muscatel was not about to let him go right away as we looked at the O'Doul's eye in the sky.
In our last event on saltwater, Ken Muscatel could not get off the trailer. This weekend, he has run very, very well. This boat has a lot of chute speed.
The Budweiser running in lane 3 began to open up a lead, but then Ken Muscatel came right back again on Dave Villwock.
Using the advantage being on the inside, as I said, Ken's boat has good chute speed, and in the turns, Dave Villwock has to leave him room, has to go a long way around.
So Ken gave Dave a good run, but that's all it turned out to be. And in the end, Nate Brown here in the Lumar window film also went by Ken Muscatel for second place. Budweiser takes the Heat 1B. Yet another win, only one heat loss so far this year, and that was in a false start. Lumar window film, Nate Brown took second place, and a very creditable third for Dr. Ken Muscatel as they all went around in a parade lap. Here are your results. That's 400 points as usual for Budweiser. Easter Seals got 169. Costless Carpet came in 5th, and Steve talked with who else?
Dave, I promise I won't ask again if you'll tell me what it was like the first time through that turn in competition since last year.
Well, it's fun. The guys, again, have given me a very, very great race boat to drive. So, you know, that just makes my job easier. It stepped over that stuff better than anybody, and I think we ran the fastest lap in lane 3, so we're real happy about that.
You probably didn't have time for a lot of memories right then, huh?
No, we were kind of busy. We're going to try to win this thing.
Good start, boss. This is the way it ought to be, huh?
That's the way it ought to be.
That's one. After the break, we'll find out if Heat 2A was to be for Mark Evans. The draw for Heat 2A found Miss Budweiser being challenged by all the other fast boats except Appian. Among the draw, the other Heat 1 winner, Elam Plus. The question was, would the Bud be up to the challenge? Yep. Not that they wouldn't give the Bud a run for the money. We checked the starting lineup as it was for 2A. Again, Mark Evans trying to make something happen with Pico. Jimmy King is in there too, but Bud, man, oh man, Steve, look how Dave Villwock is taking these starts.
John, he'll make over 40 starts before the season is over. He's missed one so far. You wonder if somewhere along the line he isn't going to miss another one. That was perfect.
I think he learned from the one that he missed. He doesn't plan to make any more mistakes.
Now, a pretty good story is the Elam running inside of him. Last year in Seattle, Jimmy King couldn't hold his line, ended up right on top of the Budweiser. The white boat is an entirely different race boat. The Elstrom family has done a great job with it this year.
And as we see in these highlights from Heat 2A, for a while, Jimmy King was able to give Dave Villwock a run on the Budweiser, but then, again, seemingly inevitably, off went the red boat and the white boat trailed behind, along with everybody else.
Dave Villwock also doing a nice job of leaving room for Jimmy King on the inside and giving us a boat race.
Heat 2A went to the Big Red Machine. That's 2 straight here at the Columbia River for Budweiser as we look at the checkered flag. And it's become, where's Steve? Why? Steve came in 3rd place to pick up another 225 points. So he's doing a pretty good job with not a terribly fast boat for Jim Harvey Motorsports. Nate Brown in the Lumar window film had some difficulties, wound up 5th, and then Rick Christensen in the Mr. United Furniture Warehouse was last. By the way, Mike and Lori Jones, sponsoring this boat, say they don't know why it's being called Mr. Here's a look at the results. Dave Villwock, with 800 points now, has yet to run in either lane 1 or lane 2, and Steve asked about that.
David, I doubt if lane 3 was your first choice, but you know now you can run there.
Actually, yeah, we wanted to start. We know these guys, they really haven't got the performance to run in some of these lanes that they're in, and we wanted to show them that's going to be a mighty wet place in the final to be if they want to be in lane 1 or 2.
A statement there from Dave Villwock for everybody else.
Wow.
A statement from the Budweiser team. Here's Mark Weber getting set for Heat 2B, but all eyes would be on another boat. Right, Steve?
At this point in the day, we had answered a lot of questions that have been with us throughout the 1998 season, but one big one remained. When would the Appian Geronimo live up to its incredible promise? And the answer was Heat 2B.
Here's how they lined up. Jerry Hale driving the Easter Seals once again for the Bob Fendler camp. And you've got Mark Weber, as we said, in the Master Tire. It would take a good start for the Appian Geronimo, and indeed, Mitch Evans got one.
We knew that if the team was successful in solving Mitch's rudder problems, they were going to be a handful for everybody. He reported a great boat ride in this heat and really set a standard, I think, for the rest of the season now. We're going to hear a lot about the Appian Geronimo.
Looking from the O'Doul's eye in the sky, you see the lead. Mitch grabbed around the first turn. Easter Seals in second place, and then Mike Weber driving the Costlast Carpet. Ken Muscatel running into some trouble there. Not enough room, really, to try to get through.
Look at this boat ride now. This is a Leland hull, a former Pico American Dream, and running like it did back in the championship season.
By the second lap of Heat 2B, there was a race for second place between Jerry Hale and Easter Seals Closer to You and Mike Weber driving the Costlast Carpet up ahead. Mitch Evans became oblivious to that, just running the Appian Geronimo as hard as he could. But that race went head-to-head all the way around the second lap. Jerry Hale not giving any ground on the inside, and Mike Weber on the outside.
Jerry Hale, last year's 54-year-old Rookie of the Year. Good to have him back in the sport. Look at the beautiful boat ride here for Mitch Evans.
Eventually, Mike Weber, Closest to You, pulled ahead of Jerry Hale, and the Easter Seals went dead in the water. Appian Geronimo taking Heat 2B in a wire-to-wire beautiful run by Mitch Evans. There's the checkered flag as Mitch took it, bringing joy, no doubt, to the heart of Jerry Rise and the hearts of everybody in the Appian Geronimo crew. And Mike Weber in the Costlast Carpet came in second. Who was third? Well, it wasn't Jerry Hale on the Easter Seals because the boat wasn't going anymore. We told you Ken Muscatel had some trouble at the start, but he kept on going, and sure enough, it was third place for Miss Jackson's Sports Bar. And fourth, rocketing along on the Allison engine, Master Tire and Mark Weber. This time, Steve talked to the crew chief of the Appian.
Tim Ramsey.
Yes, sir.
That's a long winter. That was maybe worth it now, huh?
Well, we put a lot of hard work into last winter. You know, we all have been putting in a lot of extra hours, and what it turned out being is that, you know, we thought we were due for a heat win, you know, maybe a couple weeks ago, and we've just had nothing but gearbox problems this year, and we think we resolved those problems, and actually as a Geronimo sponsorship with Jerry Rise and the Appian Graphics Corporation, this is our first heat win, so the guys are pretty excited.
And what they're excited about is after 2 heats, Appian Geronimo has not only its first win, but a total of 700 points, just 100 behind the Budweiser. So you had to know Mitch Evans was happy.
Good job. Yeah, that was a nice ride there. Mitch, it looked absolutely fabulous. How did the rudder feel?
It was perfect. The guys, it took a little bit of working, but we finally got it there. We got us a real rocket ship here, so I'm looking forward to the rest of the day.
This is the way it was supposed to be, huh?
That's it. You know, sometimes it just takes a little bit more time than others, but times like this are sweeter sometimes, so we're ready to go.
Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Today's Alamo Almanac is brought to you by Alamo Rent-A-Car. It's drive happy time again. Ready, set, go.
By 1989, the turbine engines had taken over the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing. It had been a long time since a piston power plant had been in the winner's circle. But through a strange set of circumstances, the final heat here at the Columbia Cup, only one turbine boat. A strong one, obviously, Tommy Deeth and the Miss Budweiser. But these two boats with piston power, Mitch Evans in the Cooper's Express and Mike Hansen in the Miss Madison, would mount a pretty good challenge. And about this point right here, Tommy Deeth is notified he's been disqualified, and the Cooper's Express would drive to the last victory ever by piston power, the only time Mitch Evans would see the winner's circle so far in his unlimited career.
The Alamo Almanac has been sponsored by Alamo, where renting a car is fun. Let Alamo put you smiles ahead with drive happy deals and services. Welcome back to Ralph's Thunder Tour, presented by Las Vegas. John Mickelson and Steve Montgomery bringing you the Budweiser Columbia Cup. Getting set for the start of Heat 3A. Nate Brown looking to put some heat on the favorite, Dave Villwock, and the Miss Budweiser. Steve David has been doing pretty well so far driving in the Miss Molson. He's picked up a total of 450 points in a couple of heats to this point. Can he keep it going? Can he put any heat at all on Dave Villwock? It doesn't seem so as we count down to 4 minutes to go to the clock start. Dave Villwock, by the way, is driving the Budweiser T3, not the T5, which is the boat he went over in last year here on the Columbia River. Mark Weber coming out on the Master Tire, the piston-powered boat. Again, the only one now in the running out here. 108 degrees. You can see all the umbrellas trying to keep the sun off there, the folks on the shore. Dave Villwock, as we said, driving the T3, although it did not qualify quite as fast as the T5. They felt, the Budweiser team did, that it's set up better for the 2.5-mile oval course here on the Columbia River in the Tri-Cities, Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland, Washington. Here is Appy and Geronimo, which brings us to Steve in the pits.
With the boats on the water for the running of Heat 3A, the plot thickens, as does the competition. We now know the Appy and Geronimo is as fast as anyone out here. They've drawn the red boat in 3A, and this could be the biggest challenge to the Red Rocket so far in 1998.
So important for Mitch and Jerry Rice's team to get to that next step. Also important for this team, Lumar Window Film, Nate Brown, the driver. He's got some speed and lots of driving ability to present a challenge to Dave Villwock. But so far, a challenge is one thing. Beating him has been entirely something else. Villwock has not even bothered, as we said earlier, to try to get it inside lane. He's been coming from lane 3 so far to win his first 2 heats.
Looking at a newer version of the very same piston boat that we featured in our Alamo Almanac, still owned by the Cooper family. Mark Webber now the driver. Steve David at the bottom of your picture in the black and yellow Miss Molson, not having a great day, having some gearing problems. Still, though, in second place in national high points.
And he has managed to pick up a couple of thirds so far in spite of those difficulties. We'll see what he and the rest of the drivers can do in Heat 3 when our Speed World coverage of the Columbia Cup continues. Coming up on the start of Heat 3 for the unlimited hydroplanes here on the Columbia River, the Columbia Cup, 20 seconds to go. Will Dave Villwock steal another start?
You heard Dave earlier challenging any driver to try to take the inside later in the day. Nate Brown is going to stick his yellow nose in there in the Lumar Window Film. That is him on the far right side of your picture. Then the Budweiser, then the Appy and Geronimo. Can Mitch Evans challenge from the outside?
And at the start, once again, there goes Villwock. Mitch Evans is going with him. Nate Brown falling back just a little bit. What a great run here by Mitch Evans. But Villwock has the inside.
Look at the top end by the Geronimo. At the end of the straightaway, he was actually going faster than the Budweiser, and now he skips out just a bit. That's the disadvantage of being on the outside. You have to let the guy on the inside establish the radius in the turn.
From the O'Doul's eye in the sky, you see Nate Brown trying to take advantage of the inside lane and move up on Budweiser, but Villwock is beginning to stretch it out already, and the race seems to be for second between Nate Brown and Mitch Evans in Appy and Geronimo.
Still less than a rooster tail lead for the Budweiser, so Villwock has to leave a lane for the Lumar, and as long as he does, the shorter race course will give Nate a little bit of an advantage. Right here, he actually picks it up just a bit on the red boat.
3 laps again here in Heat 3A. Villwock completing the first, and his average lap speed is over 152 miles an hour, just 10 miles an hour slower than he qualified the boat.
And he qualified, John, in lane 1, and now he's out considerably from there. That's a fast lap in that lane. Now he's able to move over. He has the overlap, and you see the Lumar dropping back a bit. Second place, some damage. Look at the wings on the Appy and Geronimo. Something has happened to the back end of that boat.
They're dragging the entire tail assembly there, and yet Mitch Evans still has the boat moving and moving pretty fast. He's going to try to hold on and see if he can at least get second here over Nate Brown in the Lumar Window Film. No problems, it appears, again for Dave Villwock in the Budweiser.
No word on what happened to Mitch Evans. He was on the outside. I don't think he got into a rooster tail. Apparently, the wing assembly on that boat has just collapsed. It hasn't slowed him down a whole lot, though.
Here is Dave Villwock, not slowing down much, coming around to finish up lap 2 of 3 here. And here is a pretty good look at what's happened to the Appy and Geronimo.
Right now, Mitch would prefer to have all that mess fall off the boat. That's a handling nightmare. He's really got his hands full right now, John.
He's still got a slight edge on Nate Brown, but Nate has the inside lane with a lap to go. It's going to be quite a feat to hold the boat together and hold off Nate.
Not only that, John, that rear wing on an unlimited hydroplane is very functional. It provides lift on the transom through the turns, keeps the boat up out of the water. The boat is really balanced to have the wing on it. And right now, Mitch Evans is doing a tremendous job with part of a race boat.
From the O'Doul's eye in the sky, look at Nate Brown on the inside and Mitch on the outside, just about a boat length ahead. Now here comes Nate. Here comes Nate in the Lumar Window Film on the inside. The Appian crew saying, come on, hold him off, hold him off.
I don't think they have to tell Mitch that he has problems. I'm sure he knows that by now. He's doing a great job, but it's just impossible to run that boat at full song with the tail feathers in the shape they're in.
Around the last turn, Budweiser heading for the checkered flag. That'll be 3 for 3 for Dave Villwock here. And behind him in this last straightaway, Nate Brown has gotten by this boat, the Appian Geronimo. So Nate in the Lumar window film will be second. And Mitch Evans in the Appian Geronimo takes third. Still a very courageous and skillful drive. Here's Dave Villwock coming in for a victory lap. And Appian Geronimo is going to go straight into the pits. A wise move by Mitch Evans to see if they can get that boat together for the final. Again, a heck of a job of driving by Mitch with his tail assembly gone early on. Here are your results. It's a perfect day again for Budweiser, 1,200 points. Let's go down to the dock and have Steve talk with the winning driver.
Wow. Fairly routine compared to the rest of the day, huh?
Well, we try to make it look that way, but the crew did an awesome job. Bernie Little has really put together an all-star team here, and I'm just happy to be one little part of it.
Bernie, one bobble, though, and you got speed behind you now.
Yeah, really, all the boats are running very good. This is an awful good event. And we come prepared to win, and we're going to try to get that done.
Ken Muscatel is up next in 3B. Can he pull off another strong finish? Speed World coverage continues. Welcome back to Ralph's Thunder Tour, presented by Las Vegas, the Columbia Cup. And folks here doing anything to keep cool, and if that's not cool, I guess I've never seen cool. Under 5 minutes to go to the start of Heat 3B. Let's go down to Steve Montgomery on the dock and tell us how it shapes up as the boats start to head out onto the water.
If the Pico American Dream Team is going to be a factor today, they'd better come to life right now. Based on history, you would expect them to be the favorite here in 3B. But Jimmy King and the Elam Plus have actually been faster today. Let's see what happens.
Nice timing, Steve. There goes Jimmy King out onto the water in that beautiful white boat. It's been fast. It's wonderfully set up. Of course, they've had extra time to get this done because they did not run the eastern part of the tour. Ken Muscatel also has been surprising people all day. We'll talk more about that as we check the unlimited 3B lineup. We find Mike Weber, who's done a pretty good job in the Costless Carpet. Also, Rick Christensen is now driving the Mr. United Furniture, those two boats from the Mike and Lori Jones camp.
The Pico American Dream on the right side of your picture also has been a bit of a mystery today. What in the world happened to the horsepower and the speed that this team has shown us for the last several years? They are out here running at 3/4 throttle, John. Nobody seems to know why.
Mark Evans continues to try to drive the boat hard at every opportunity in spite of the fact that he knows they have these difficulties. Kenny Dryden and the whole crew trying to find some answers, but it's been mighty tough on everybody. Again, Rick Christensen now driving the United Furniture for the Jones camp.
We were told that Rick would split the driving duties with Greg Hopp, the rookie who just qualified this weekend. And John, here is our most improved player. Nobody expected the Elstrom family to come out of Ballard, which is the old Scandinavian community in Seattle, with their white boat, the Elam Plus, running like this, having a tremendous weekend.
Just about 3 minutes now till the start of Heat 3B as we look at Mark Evans and the Pico American Dream. Still a bit early to determine which boat will be in which lane. You never know. You could get a big upset. You could get Rick Christensen in the United Furniture Warehouse doing something. We'll find out how it goes in just a moment as our Speed World coverage of the Columbia Cup continues. Welcome back to Ralph's Thunder Tour, presented by Las Vegas. John Nicholson, Steve Montgomery, bringing you the Budweiser Columbia Cup. We're coming up now under 30 seconds to the start of Heat 3B. Pico American Dream in the foreground, but now we see Ken Muscatel is in lane 1, and Jimmy King and Elam Plus is in lane 2 as they come around toward the start-finish line, Steve.
The doctor has indeed finagled his way into lane 1. A lot of speed right beside him, Jimmy King. Then you move out to the Pico American Dream, which we still expect to come alive at some point today. Look at this start by Jimmy King. The young man has a fast boat and doing a great job. He's right on the line.
Mike Weber in the Costless Carpet also with a good start, coming in here in the white, yellow, and blue boat. And Pico American Dream is right up there with him.
but dropping back again. He doesn't have the horsepower he'd like. From our Duel's Eye in the Sky, look at the perfect line through this turn by Jimmy King in the Elam Plus. John, this is a boat which last year at this time would not go where Jimmy King pointed it. Eric Elstrom and that crew have done a tremendous job. They are the comeback players of the year.
In the first run through the backstretch, Jimmy King opening up a solid lead, and Ken Muscatel is behind him in the Jackson Sports Bar. But Jimmy King is all by himself as he comes around to wrap up the first lap in this 3-lap heat.
With the two white boats leading the way, you see Jimmy King leaving room for the doctor on the inside, and Ken Muscatel's old boat having a very good day.
2 laps to go for Jimmy King as Muscatel tries to move up. Here is the lap average speed for the first lap, 148, almost 149 miles an hour, and that is not bad for the Elam Plus. Pico is falling back. Ken Muscatel is trying to hang on. He still has the inside, walking that boat just a little bit, Steve, as he comes into the turn.
Ken Muscatel and the Jackson Sports Bar running ahead of the Pico American Dream. My, how things have changed.
Who'd have thunk it a year ago, or even, well, a week ago, after all the difficulties Ken Muscatel had in Norfolk.
Just a great ride for Jimmy King and the Elam Plus. It's one thing to get a nice, smooth boat ride. It's another to go fast. And right now, John, he's doing both.
Ken Muscatel still not letting him out of sight completely, hoping maybe something will go wrong and he'll be able to capitalize. Ken still running strong in the inside lane, but Jimmy King has got this boat handled nicely around the turn to finish up lap 2, and 1 more to go for him.
Running like an Indy car down the front straightaway, nearing 200 miles per hour as he comes across the start-finish line, and getting again a very nice boat ride. From our O'Doul's Eye in the Sky, you see the race back there for second place. That's the Pico, the dark boat, on the left.
And of course, Dr. Ken Muscatel on the inside. Pico with the nose just out ahead. Muscatel and Mark Evans both walking their boats along as the water gets a bit rougher as the race progresses into the turn.
This turn down here, John, is very rough because it's the downstream turn, and the current carries all the rough spots on the river down into that turn. That's where Dave Villwalk had his accident last year.
Although the drivers say the river is not as fast this year as it has been in prior years, making it just a little bit less rough anyhow. Now here comes Jimmy King one last time around to take Heat 3B if nothing goes wrong for him, and so far he has done just a marvelous job of driving the boat. Here he comes. Not too far behind Ken Muscatel, but he's not going to catch Jimmy King. There is your winner of Heat 3B, taking the checkered flag, the Elstrom family's Miss Elam Plus, and Jimmy King cruising around. Ken Muscatel will take second. Pico giving him a run, but not quite getting there is Mark Evans. So Dr. Ken Muscatel will pick up 300 points. And again, we've talked about this impressive performance for the good doctor. And with all the frustration, really not all that awful to be 3rd place in this heat for Pico American Dream. You do want to make the final no matter what else happens. Let's go down to the dock.
Well, Jimmy, the driver's name and the paint job are about the same as last year. Other than that, it's a whole new deal here, huh?
The Elstrom family and Elam Plus did just a great job. I mean, they took all the information from last year, made the right calls, and made this thing come to life.
You got to be having some fun, running ahead of the Pico, running ahead of some fast boats out there.
Been here for 4 years, and it's about time I saw the other end of a rooster tail.
We've seen the much bigger unlimited fleet here at Tri-Cities. Well, the unlimited light fleet also has been beefed up. 10 boats here, and right back here, 4 boats making their season debuts at Tri-Cities. But this boat, the UL-125 Wildfire, seems to have the best chance of putting some heat on the Alamo and Beau Scheid. George Stratton's got the boat going fast. If that is, he can keep it all together. In the final at Norfolk, in the first heat here, he drove with just 1 tail fin. And here, he won.
Well, they might not match, but the Wildfire will have 2 wings in the Unlimited Light Final next on Speed World.
Welcome back to our coverage of the Columbia Cup and Washington's Tri-Cities. They're hard at work in the Appian Geronimo pit to repair that tail assembly that collapsed in the last heat. But we're just about set for the Unlimited Lights final. We checked the starting lineups. The favorite's got to be Beau Scheid and the Alamo, but also George Stratton and Wildfire right here has been strong. He's won each of his 2 heats, and Beau has won each of his 2.
Coming down to the start, the Wildfire is way out ahead of the Alamo. If he's not too early, he's going to have a big advantage on Bo Scheid, and it's a great start. The Wildfire is the leader into the first turn. We got a story here because the Alamo has that unbeaten string right now in big jeopardy.
From the O'Doul's eye in the sky, the inside lane is Steve Weber in the Apex Industries, and Bo Scheid is in trouble.
The Alamo was slowing down. The winning streak appears to be coming to an end right here. I'm not sure, John, that he was going to catch the Wildfire anyway, but he has a problem aboard Ned Allen's boat. The first hiccup of the year for that team.
Alamo is not going anywhere in a hurry, but George Stratton is. This is a 3-lap final, and Stratton has really got it going in Wildfire.
This was a brand new boat last year at this time out of the shop of Ron Jones over in the Seattle area, and it is a very, very fast boat that has been a little bit inconsistent so far in the 98 season. Of course, it's famous for its 360 in Kelowna, where he landed the boat right side up, drove it back to the pits, did a similar thing in Detroit this year. I think right now, John, he'd like to keep it right side up.
Steve Weber in the Apex Industries also running strong. This is, of course, a shorter course than the Unlimited's run. It's 1 2/3 miles, 3 times around, and Stratton has got this thing going just perfectly as far as we can tell.
This boat is capable of exceeding 160 miles per hour on these straightaways with automotive power. Weighs about 1/3 as much as the big Unlimiteds, and of course a lot less horsepower, but a very good power-to-weight ratio.
Jerry Hopp driving the UL-14 Graham Trucking. He has driven the Unlimiteds too, and his son Greg, of course, has driven earlier here in the Unlimiteds.
Here is Steve Weber driving the Apex, a boat that's also come on very strong the last 2 events. This was a very much anticipated final heat in the Unlimited Lights with the Alamo and the Wildfire and the Apex and the Miss Leroy expected to hook it up. Actually, turned into a parade a lot faster than we thought it would, with George making that great start, John, and that was the story of the race.
As George rocks on, we have the word that Rick Bridgman in Shockwave has been disqualified. He collided with the Union Pride driven by Tarek Troxel just before the start, so Bridgman, though he's still running, is officially out of this race.
Coming by us now on the bottom of your screen, that's the Pete's Wicked Ale Dave Bender's boat. He was not up and running at the 1-minute gun, so he's not a legal starter. And now the Apex is out of the race. So our much anticipated final heat in the Lights has become a battle of attrition.
Here is the survivor of this battle of attrition, George Stratton, with his 1 white tail fin and his 1 yellow tail fin. And you know, they may leave it that way because since they've gone to that particular color scheme, they've been doing quite well. Haven't lost a thing yet. Speaking of which, checkered flag for George Stratton. Wildfire is the winner here. Dave Bender now in Pete's Wicked Ale appears to be second, but as Steve mentioned earlier, he was not up on plane at the 1-minute gun. Steve Weber does not finish at all. Here is your second place boat. Miss Leroy, Randy Haas, just managed to get across the line and finish second. And then the Graham Trucking winds up third. Every other boat in this race either did not start, did not finish, or was disqualified. And goodness gracious, here is Terry Troxel barely staying afloat in the Union Pride. Here are our results. George Stratton takes it. Let's go down to the dock and have Steve talk with him.
What was it you said to me when you went by in the golf cart Friday, and I said that's the fastest you've gone all week? You said wait until Sunday.
That's right. We had her dialed in. We did our homework this weekend. We broke a lot of equipment the last couple of weeks, and boy, oh boy, the guys worked their tails off, and we don't like hearing that the fastest we can go. We can go a heck of a lot faster than that. I don't know what my average speed was. I don't know whether it was that good, but the boys sure did their job, and I can't thank enough Ron Jones and the guys from Fabrication Specialties. They've really come through and helped us a lot.
Congratulations to George, a speedy survivor. Up next, here is the speediest boat around. Can he do it again? Speed World continues.